I'm going to present to you some empirical results of a large-scale quantitative analysis that we conducted on data from Czech media outputs about COVID-19 vaccination and vaccines. As you already know, according to most experts, vaccination is the only effective remedy against the COVID-19 global pandemic. The development of vaccines against this disease has therefore been the focus of the world public almost since the beginning. And however, it was not until the end of the year 2020 that vaccines began to reach the first recipients of the Czech public and its most vulnerable groups. The publicity of vaccination then started to reach, and the period of our observation from December of the last year to the end of March of this year, it traced almost I think, sorry, I have skipped my presentation several times. I will tell you more later. At this time of these 4 months, the Czech media published tens of thousands of articles that addressed vaccines and vaccinations. And there were almost 55,000 of those nationwide titles monitored by media about this topic. In addition to sorting relevant stories from this great amount of data, we decided also to put some qualitative parameters into our analysis, which are the tonality of mentions about selected vaccines. We have selected 5 main mostly discussed types of vaccines, which are Pfizer-BioNTech, Moderna, AstraZeneca, Sputnik, and Johnson & Johnson. And what did we find about the vaccination and vaccines discourse in our analysis? We found out that between the December and March, the monthly publicity of COVID-19 vaccines almost tripled. I will show you the chart that will show this massive increase, and you can see it here. I will spread the window, I hope. Okay, so this is the chart, and it shows you the red color shows you the whole amount of the monthly articles about vaccination, and the blue part is the articles about vaccines, about the selected vaccines only. So you can see that in December there was almost 2,000 of articles about the vaccines, and in March it was almost 7,000 articles. So the media interest was rising very quickly and very intensively. But what was of great interest for us was the activity of so-called disinformation websites, which are the same that my colleagues from the faculty talked about in their previous paper. I can show you. This is the list of the disinformation websites that we had in our analysis, and you can see that the most active ones were Parlamentní listy CZ and CZ Sputnik News.com, which accounted for almost 3/5 of the total. And another interesting thing is that the disinformation websites in whole had 15% share of the total media coverage of vaccines. That means that it was the second to third, together with the public service media, which had almost the same share. The second most active media group in informing about the vaccines. And the specific interesting things that we found out about the disinformation website will be visible on the another slide, where you can see all the differences between the media image of vaccines presented by the monitored media as a whole, which is the chart on the left side, and the media image of vaccines that you can see on the right side, taken from the disinformation web pages solely. You can see also big differences in the coverage of specific vaccine types or vaccine brands. For example, there is very much 2 times bigger coverage of the Russian Sputnik V vaccine than in disinformation web pages than in the media as a whole. You can see the blue color of the share. And specifically, if you look at the charts on the higher part of this slide, you can see that disinformation sites paid above average attention to Sputnik V vaccine, because there was yeah, that's what I was talking about. 30% of disinformation mentions about the vaccines were focused on Sputnik. On the opposite, only 15% of the mentions in the media as a whole was Sputnik oriented. The second difference is that disinformation sites reported the Sputnik V vaccine significantly more favorably than the monitored media as a whole. You can see that there are not almost any negative or ambivalent mentions about Sputnik in disinformation web pages. Only 12 ambivalent. And on the opposite, in media as a whole, there was 196 negative and almost 1,000 ambivalent mentions about. Oh, sorry, 34 negative and 175 ambivalent mentions about Sputnik. So the difference is really huge, and it's the same when you look at the positive tonality with Sputnik. Sputnik's 175 positive mentions in disinformation web pages. That is very big part of it's 40% of entire positive tonality of Sputnik in media as a whole. So most part of the big part, very significant part of positive tonality of Sputnik was made by the disinformation web pages. And we can see similar differences on the other side. For example, out of 159 negative mentions about Pfizer-BioNTech, 107 was made by disinformation web pages, which is 2/3 almost. This is the biggest difference. And you can see another such differences in reporting about all the other vaccines as well. For example, there is very small amount of positive tonality about Pfizer-BioNTech in disinformation web pages when you compare it with the overall positive tonality of Pfizer-BioNTech in the main media as a whole. There was more than 800 positive remarks about Pfizer-BioNTech, but only 40 of them was made by disinformation web pages. So what is the result of such two very different media images of vaccines? One in media as a whole and one in the disinformation web pages. There are two very different images of vaccines, and the first one in the media as a whole is that most of the vaccines, all the vaccines that are approved for use by the European Union authorities are safe and have positive impact on the handling with the pandemic. And on the other side, the image presented by the disinformation web pages that the approved vaccines have some negative side effects that are not so safe that we are told by the authorities. And on the other hand, that there is some vaccine from Russia, which is not as bad as they tell us that it should be approved for use in Czech Republic, etc., etc. What's important to say is also that this second image of vaccines made by the disinformation web pages has not really impact on Czech public that can be overseen. It's very important part of the media image, because as we found out during our analysis, the outputs from the disinformation web pages reached almost 1,500 GRP points, which is a metric that tell us how big reach the outputs have on the population of our country. It means that when we translate it into some better understandable language, it can be said that every every citizen, every inhabitant of Czech Republic older than 15 years could possibly be exposed, or hypothetically could read 15 of such articles in disinformation web pages during the period since December to March. So the possible impact of such disinformations that are spreaded by the disinformation web pages is very high, and the image of the vaccination presented by disinformation web pages was very different to the overall image of vaccination that was presented by the media as a whole during that period. So thank you very much for listening, and I'm looking forward for your questions. Thank you.